Hey there, greetings and welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph and I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal and other forms of rock music. So today we are doing our series, My Strange Fascination. This will be episode number 19 and it features James Marshall Hendrix, professionally known as JImi Hendrix. So anyways, JImi Hendrix came into my life, not literally again. JImi Hendrix, I discovered JImi Hendrix probably in the mid-80s. Now I of course knew who he was. I'd heard of him before. It'd be pretty hard not to have. But I didn't know much about him, and I started listening to this music once I moved out from home. So that 85, 86, 87 era, in that area, when I was listening to a lot of this kind of rhythm and blues and psychedelic music. That's where my music taste had taken me at that point in time. And JImi Hendrix, of course, was the leader of that movement as far as the rhythm and blues part went. And I tried to get, I was in the store looking for the last album by them, the JImi Hendrix Experience, Electric Ladyland was the one I was looking for, but I didn't see it, but I saw this and I didn't know of it, because back in those days, it's not like you got the internet where you can just look up and see what they have. You didn't have that. You just went into the store and see what was there. I knew that Electric Ladyland was one of his big albums, and it had the song Purple Haze on it, which was the one I was interested in. But I saw this, it was the only one on the rack, not this particular copy because it was vinyl then. And so I didn't buy it in vinyl because vinyl, I didn't have a vinyl player. I'd given all my vinyl records away to my sister at this point. But I did buy the cassette, and I played the cassette a lot. And then I've since bought this copy of the album that I'm showing here. But that was the album that was the one that introduced me to Hendrix in a big way, and I listened to this. And then I had also a live album, which I listened to quite a bit, and was often blown away by how inventive he was as a guitar player. It's not that he's the best guitar player that's ever lived as far as his technique goes. I'm sure there's others that were faster, some of them better at the lead part, some better at the rhythm part, but nobody was as inventive as him. And he came from a time period where he was the only one doing what he did. This is blow people away. It's if he did it nowadays, nobody would look, people would still look at it because it'd be interesting to see, but it wasn't as mind-blowing as it was when he did it initially, because nobody had done it at that point in time. He was the only one doing it. That's why all those musicians in London came to see him, because they'd never seen anything like that. And I have to think that if he had survived, if he hadn't done himself in that way when he was 27, he would have been at the forefront of technology as far as leading the way as far as music goes. He would have still been at the forefront, because that's the kind of guy he was. And who knows what he would have done, and what kind of music he would have created, or where he would have went with it. We'll never know, but for such a short period of time, he was dominating. I found that he really introduced me to a whole section of music that I probably had not really listened to before, and that was the rhythm and the blues, especially the bluesy stuff. I started listening to him, and then Stevie Ray Vaughan, of course, was the other obvious one, and I had listened to a little bit of Rory Gallagher, but not a lot, and a few others, and it got me into the rockabilly area as well, all because of this man's guitar playing. Legend. I think he's a legend myself. The other musicians in the band were not maybe not quite on his par, but were still very solid musicians. Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding, both really good musicians. They could have hardly been anything else. They wouldn't have put them with him if they weren't. Noel Redding had to switch from guitar to bass because they needed a bass player and he was a guitar player. But he did a great job. I think his bass playing is fantastic. The other thing about Hendrix that, and Stevie Ray Vaughan has this as well, is they can sing. You know, they have a voice. Maybe it's not the best sounding vocal voice in rock, but it fits the music so well. And Jimi Hendrix had that voice, you know, a very distinguishable voice that you wouldn't mix him up with anybody else, I wouldn't think. And he wrote some pretty interesting lyrics too, especially in the psychedelic era. He wrote a lot of really good stuff. I would have loved to have seen what he would have done in the 70s, but he passed away. So yeah, so his influence on me was that he brought the guitar forefront for me at this point. Yes, I had been listening to Ace Frehley and a lot of those bands, Steve Howe and all them. But he really launched the guitar as the major premier instrument for me, in my mind. And I never finished my guitar. I mean, Steve Howe got me doing that, but I always started appreciating the guitar player more after I listened to him. So for me, Jimi Hendrix is a huge influence in that the type of music he produced, he was the leader in that area so far as I'm concerned. So anyways, that's another episode of My Strange Fascinations, featuring Jimi Hendrix of Jimi Hendrix fame. If you like, please like and subscribe to this video. It's much appreciated. And we'll be back tomorrow with another episode of My Strange Fascinations. So have yourself a good evening and take care of yourself.